Hey, welcome back to the Ryka Motors channel. I'm Ryan. Today I'm going to show you how I take $4,000 and turn it into $6,000 flipping cars. I've been doing this for a long time, so I just wanted to give you a little insight into how I do it. And yeah, let's take a look. Alright, so I picked up this BMW Z3 for $37.50, and I think I can make some money on it. It's a pretty nice one, 99. It's got a little bit of paint fade on the original paint on the hood, but it's all original, no accidents, bunch of owners, but it's only got 102. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see, 102k on the clock, and pretty straight, low miles. It's the 2.3 inline 6 with the coveted stick shift. I don't know, I mean, I like these cars. I'm not a huge fan of German cars in general, just because of, you know, they're a pain to work on. But one of the reasons I got it so cheap is it's got, see, you can see New Hampshire plates. So most people associate that with rust, but this car spent all of its life here in Southern California. So there is zero rust on this. The owner, however, made the mistake of registering it in New Hampshire. So I was able to lowball them, get it for a pretty good price. As you can see, the headlights are pretty faded. As I mentioned, there's a little bit of fading on the original paint on the hood, but overall very straight. There's no real dents or anything like that. There's a couple small imperfections, but nothing major. There's a rip on the seat here. Can't see, it's really dark, but as you can see, there's a rip on the seat, small one. But overall, really good condition. It's got this really dated wood. So I'm thinking what I'll do is, oh, and one of the reasons I got it cheap is it has an airbag light on. So the airbag light stays on, but I think since it hasn't been in any accidents, it should be very fixable. I bought this cheap Chinese. My good scan tool wouldn't clear the airbag code for some reason. I think the car's too old, so I bought one of these $25 Amazon special airbag reset lights. And now I've tried resetting the airbag light and it came back on. So I'm gonna check under the seats right now. I unbolted them. I'm gonna check under the seats and see if any of the connections under the seat are damaged or any of the wires are damaged. But overall, a clean car. I think we can flip this for, I think we can make at least $1,000 on this in very minimal time. If I can clear the airbag code and maybe repaint the hood, maybe just buff it out a little bit and leave it. I think with the airbag light on and then putting California plates on this car, we can make a quick $1,000. So let's get going. All right, so I pulled the seats out on both sides. I just have them leaning over because I didn't want to disconnect the seat belts. But interesting, they got the old school seat belt tensioners. Pull that cord right there to tension up your belt if you get in an accident. Kind of cool. I think the newer ones are a little different, but these look original. Schlosstrommer. Nothing appears to be damaged, none of the wires. It's a very common on these cars, especially if you pull the seats out. Some of the connectors can get damaged or the wires can get pinched, and that can throw your your airbag light. So I'm not seeing anything here. Same on that side. See, that would indicate that this is the problem. The code is, well, it would almost be easier if it was written in German, but I can't. This cheap scan tool I have, the codes are, it says something about a side airbag fault, but this car doesn't even have side airbags. So it's kind of a mystery because my good scan tool won't even read the airbag codes on this. It just errors out. So it actually has an under hood OBD2 port with an adapter, a big circular adapter that hooks in under the hood that's just made for the airbags on these. Shows my knowledge about BMWs. I don't typically work on these cars. Personally, I hate German cars, but that's just me. I've had to fix enough of them in my years as a mechanic to know that I don't buy any German cars. But that's just me. This was a good enough deal that I think I could make some money on it. I know these aren't in high demand, but there's enough of a demand, especially here in Southern California, that I think there might be $1,000 in this. Right now, it's priced about right. $37.50. What I paid is about right with an airbag fault. It also has a power top that doesn't work, so I have to raise and lower the top manually. So if I can fix the power top and get rid of the airbag light, maybe polish the hood a little bit, which I don't think there's much I can do about that, I think we can get $1,000 out of this. Is it worth $1,000 in labor that I'm about to do? I don't know. We'll find out. Let me dig into these wires a little bit and see if I can figure anything out. All right, I checked this wonderful Chinese scan tool, and I have a sensor side airbag right line fault, which, if I'm reading on the BMW forums, equates to the sensor underneath the seat. It's not the side airbag, since it doesn't have side airbags. It's the side airbag sensor that would deploy the front airbags. So I'm going to go ahead and swap out the right and left side airbag sensors and see if that code switches itself. So let's stay tuned for that, and I'll let you know. Anytime you're doing airbag stuff, it's always good to disconnect the battery. So I'm using my beautiful BMW equipped toolkit. Take the battery terminal off. Kick it out of the way so it doesn't reconnect. You can also stick a rag over there. Sometimes what I do is just close this to make sure it stays out of there. Now, let's take a look for these line sensors. Now, I don't see a side impact sensor, but someone said that does not look like the sensor. I was thinking maybe it was these old seatbelt tensioners, but I don't think so. So I'm going to do a little more research and figure out where this side impact sensor is, whether it's in the seat or if it's actually in the door sill itself. All right, after a little Google digging, I think I figured it out. It's under there, if you can see that. Sorry about the focus. Let's see. There it is. And mine looks wet and corroded. So let's wonderfully take this out, figure out what the hell is going on. But at least we found it. It's pretty easy to get to. But this carpet padding is a little wet under here, which is not a great sign. So I'm going to have to get to the root of that too. But obviously that sensor looks way corroded. So I think we found our problem. And oh yeah, it looks original. BMW logo on it. All right, stay tuned. Here we go. All right, so you can see these corroded airbag sensors, impact sensors. We're gonna take that out, and we're gonna take these off, and I'm gonna take them both out and take a look at them. We got a lot of water, if you can see here. There's water under this carpet, which is not a great sign, but you know, someone could have just left the top open or something. And obviously it gets trapped underneath the carpet. Since the carpet itself isn't wet, it's just underneath. So I think these are Allen heads. I don't think they're Torx bits. Let's see. Are they Torx? I can't even tell. It's so corroded. Oh yeah, they're Torx bits. So let's go grab those Torx bits. All right, got the cracked Torx bits. Wow, look at that. All right, let me get the other one out and pull them. Let's go sit them on the bench and take a look. All right, so we got these sensors out. I'm gonna go ahead and clean these up a little bit, the corrosion. And I think I'm gonna use the old rice trick, because if you look at this one, it's hard to see, but there's actually moisture in it. And obviously all this corrosion you can see flaking off. So I'm gonna clean these up a little bit and All right, we got this cleaned up. Another trick, it's pretty obvious, but in case you haven't done this before, anytime you have two sensors in one code with a right or left, when you take them out, mark them. I marked them driver and passenger. You can mark them, right and left. That way, what you can do, this works also for ignition coils. You can swap them, and then you can see if your check engine light, or in this case, your airbag light, switches from left side to right side, and that way you can confirm it's the actual sensor that's the problem and not something else like the wiring. So just a little trick on that. I'm going to go use some salt and vinegar and kind of get the corrosion off these. Now I would open them up, but they look like they're actually sealed, sealed, so I would have to heat these up to try to open them up and see if there's moisture inside. So I think what I'm going to do is salt and vinegar to get the corrosion off, and then I'm going to put them in rice overnight and see if we can't go without, because I think these sensors are about $100. So if I can do this for free, it'd be a lot better than having to buy a new one of these. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so we have salt, sort of, and vinegar, sort of. Let's try this and see if it works. You can thank Tavarish for this tip. You can add some. I'm sure you're supposed to use distilled water, but we're not going to. Let's go ahead and mix this up. Now, I don't think I'm going to soak this very long because I don't want actual water getting in here, but I'm just going to dip these in. And then what you want to do after you're done is you want to neutralize it with baking soda. That'll neutralize this after. All right, now we got some baking soda and water to neutralize that. Neutralize this one. These were soaking wet before, so don't worry about me getting them wet. We're gonna do the old rice trick next and put these in a thing of rice and see if we can't get the moisture out of them. All right, we got our rice. I put a little bit there. And I'm going to put a little on top. We're going to do this with one hand. All right. And we'll let that sit overnight. See if we can get the moisture out of these bad boys. All right, I got the sensors reinstalled, and I went ahead and swapped them, the driver's side and the passenger side, in case the code comes back on, which it likely will. I can see if the code flip-flops to the other side, and that way I'll know it's an actual bad sensor. But the rice seemed to do the trick. They're really dry. They actually, I don't know if it's just me or do they feel a little bit lighter. But I don't know. Rich Rebuilds was able to fix his Audi e-tron in a container full of rice, so with a couple of airbag sensors. So got them both in. We swapped them over. Let's get the battery reconnected. See if we can press this clutch pedal without the seat in. Make sure she's in neutral. Let's see. Oh, success. No airbag light. Oh, wait, there it came back on. Got excited too soon. Oh man, what a bummer. Alright, let's clear the code and try this again. So if you have a BMW and you have to clear an airbag code, first step, turn your key off, come under the hood to right here. This is a OBD port. I don't know if it's OBD, it must be OBD2 because this is a 99, but it's a strange port. It's different than anything I've seen. You grab your $25 Amazon special. Hook it in here, it only goes in one way. There's a little Pac-Man looking thing. Once that's in, turn your key to the on position. Come in here. You can, I believe it's FA. It'll read a code E10. E10. All right, let's see what that is. Scroll. Now I think maybe I have to turn it off. It's weird. Let's try this again. E10. See what the book says. Okay, so I figured out a couple things. One, you have to ground the seats. They have to be grounded, so I have them temporarily grounded to the battery. Then, if you see here on this wonderful scan tool, your first number is going to be a 2. After the FA, it's going to say 2, and then 20. So, just as I suspected, we switched it from sensor side airbag right line fault. We switched it over to 20 sensor side airbag left line fault. So we have a bad sensor, so it's kind of good news, bad news. We figured out the problem, but we were not able to fix it with the rice. So I'm gonna order a new sensor and get that in. All right, so I thought it'd be worth mentioning kind of my philosophy on flipping cars, since this is something I've been doing since I was about 15 years old. I typically flip cars with mechanical issues for the most part. My reasoning behind that is that's what I know. I've been an ASE certified mechanic. I've worked as a mechanic in a lot of different shops. And so for me, that's just the easiest thing for me to repair and make money on cars. Now, I know a lot of guys will do bodywork flips. I don't really like bodywork. I'm not super experienced with bodywork. I've painted a few cars and I've replaced a few panels and stuff like that, but I'm not a bodywork expert by no means. Neither am I a mechanical expert, but it's definitely where my skills lie. And with certain cars, like let's talk about this BMW in particular. I think with the Z3, I don't normally buy German cars, and I mentioned that, but this car had an airbag light on. Now the reason I mention that is that's important because with an airbag light, most people will run away. And this car sat for a long time because of that. Now, the best thing in this particular situation that you can do, or that I think you should do, is pull a history report. Because when I pulled the history report on this car, it had no accidents. And by looking at it, I also could confirm it has all its original paint. So with an airbag light on a car with no accidents, you're usually in the clear because it's just some sort of electrical fault typically. With a crashed car and an airbag light, it can get a lot more complicated. You got to send your computer off and get it reprogrammed. But on this car, I knew it was something simple. And a quick Google search online will tell you that some common issues, like certain things that go bad on these. And obviously, within a couple minutes, we were able to figure out that the crash sensor was bad. Once we pulled up the carpet, saw a little bit of moisture, it was pretty obvious that was the problem. So my point is, don't let an airbag light intimidate you, right? There's a lot of money to be made. As soon as that airbag light is turned off, that's $1,500, $2,000 you just fixed in no time. So there's big profit to be made. Just do your due diligence. Make sure you check, is it been an accident or not? You can price your car accordingly. The reason we got this car for $4,000 or $3,750 is because of that airbag light. So now I've already reposted this car and been getting a lot of hits at over 5,500. Now I typically do that. I'll put a car back on the market after I do the first major repair. If it's now this car has a power top issue, but that power top issue is probably nothing big. But here's the deal. If I can already make $2,000 profit and move to the next one, I'm gonna do it. So I've already got 2 people coming this weekend
to look at this car, and I have it listed at $5,500. So that'll give me a profit of what, $3,750 to $50. So almost $2,000, $1,750. And here's the other part. This is worth mentioning. This car came with a tonneau cover for the convertible top. So when you put the top down, there's a cover that goes over the convertible top. Now, with the car, that doesn't add a lot of value. Most people will still buy this car either way, but a quick search on eBay shows that those covers go for $300. So what I did was I put that cover on eBay and I made $300 off of it. Now, it came with the car, and the person that's buying this doesn't even know it's missing. So that's $300 profit. So if I sell this for $5,500, I'm making over $2,000 profit, and it was maybe 1 hour of work. So stay tuned. I'm gonna do I got 2 people coming this weekend to look at it, and if I can sell it with just the airbag fix and I don't even have to do the top fix, that's pretty good. A couple hours of work, $2,000. So my conclusion is, don't let an airbag light daunt you. Also, SRS, traction control lights, don't let any of that daunt you. Really pull the history report, because that history report is going to tell you the most. If it hasn't been any accidents, it's typically all mechanically fixable, and it's not that big of a deal. So I would almost go to the opposite and say airbag lights, those are your friends, man. Those are the cars that people are not going to look at. They're not going to buy them because of that. And it's, as you can see here in this video, this was not a big deal. So, yep, let's get to fixing this car. I'm going to get some people looking at it this weekend, and we'll see if we can't make some money. I'm thinking maybe we could flip this up to some, I know it's been done on a YouTube or online a lot, flip up to a Ferrari, that sort of thing. It's kind of played out, but I think it might be fun. Let's take the money from this, let's stack it up, and let's keep rolling it over into higher and higher profit margins. Now, I may flip some smaller stuff. I don't have to necessarily flip a bigger one, but if I know there's a big profit margin, then that's great. There's a Ford Ranger I'm looking at right now. It's got like low miles, and it's all original, and it's not running. It's been sitting for like 10 years. I think it needs a clutch. I could make $2 or $3,000 on that pretty quick. So I'm gonna go look at that this weekend and probably pick that up for our next one. Now, it's not necessarily a higher priced item than this, but let's take our overall profit and then buy something really cool. Maybe put in the comments what you think I should buy. A Ferrari, a Lamborghini, I want a C8 Corvette. I mean, that's what I would prefer, but if it's just for buying and then selling again, then it doesn't really matter. Let's get something with the biggest profit margin in it. But anyways, that's my thoughts. Let's continue. All right, so I picked up a sensor on eBay for about $30 for another one. Same part number. Obviously, it's used as well. It's got a little bit of corrosion here. Let's clean that off before we put it in. Make sure it's going to be all right. So I think these ground to the body. Outside looks good. All right, I'm gonna throw this in the car and see if we get rid of that check engine or that airbag light. All right, we got this tightening up. All right, now we just gotta hook the cable in. Let's see. All right, clipped in. Now let's ground these seats, and I'll try starting it. All right, well, we rigged the ground up again on these seats. Got the battery just snugged, grounded the seats, and see if we can reach in there and press the clutch pedal without the seats in. This is kind of tricky. Make sure she's neutral. Okay. Now, I haven't reset the airbag light yet, but I just want to see if this thing will, in fact, be fixed. And fingers crossed. We are good. Parking brake light goes off when I put the e-brake down. And success, no more airbag lights. So just like I said, this was easy, right? $30 part, $25 scan tool, and we have successfully cleared the airbag light. So let's pat ourselves on the back and let's get this car back together.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get these seats back in. I'm first gonna clean this carpet up, get these seats back in, and get everything bolted back up and get it ready for its showing tomorrow, because I got to get this thing washed and cleaned. It is really dirty, as you can tell. So let's get to that going now and let's make this happen. Right, we have just cleaned up the BMW. I think it's about ready to sell. I'm not going to detail it too much, but much better than it was. Got all the dirt out of it, vacuumed it, cleaned up the carpets, got all the moisture out, gave it a quick wash, cleaned up the wheels, and top's got a little fading. Like I said, though, we have this relisted at 55, and I have a full cash buyer tomorrow that put a deposit down. So all said and done, we should be selling this tomorrow. He's flying in from out of state and gonna drive it home, which would be fine. Everything's good now. The airbag light's off. If I were gonna try and fix the top, might be able to squeeze out 6,000 out of this, but $5,500 is a good price, good offer. And with the selling of the tonneau cover for $250, we now have $2,000 profit for tomorrow. So if this cash deal goes through, that's $2,000 in the bank, and we can move on up to our next one. What do you think about this one, babe?
Another car in our driveway.
Yeah, there's a lot of cars. But how do you feel about this BMW making us $2,000 profit?
Oh, good. It's fun to drive too.
It is fun to drive. Let's see what Lloyd thinks of this thing. Lloyd, do not pee on that tire. I just washed it. All right, well, the BMW is sold. We sold that for $5,500, and it's off to the next one. I think I'm gonna go look at this Ford Ranger today, see if it's worth buying. I think we can get it running and make a few grand on that. Keep stacking, buy ourselves a supercar. All right, well, that's pretty successful. Let's wrap up these numbers real quick so we can see how we did. We paid $37.50 for the BMW, and we paid, I'm looking at my notes here, $25 for the tool, and we paid $30 for that sensor. And we sold the BMW for $5,500, and we sold the tonneau cover for $300, but after eBay fees, right around $250. So within $1 or so, our total profit on this one was $1,945. So almost $2,000, 2-3 hours of work. That's not bad. If you liked the video and you want to see some more flips, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. It really helps us out a lot, and we'll see you on the next one.